like, I would always like.
I used to do everything stuff. I rarely bring into the office once in a while. If I'm running an errand, I'll pop in for a minute. After that, when I'm in my truck or driving, you're right. Yeah, like, he's in the back.
Well, I was gonna say, like, back then they still had those, you know, like.
She sends me pictures of someone in the back of mine.
So like in my office, I just turned off the lights and had a little lamp. And then when I went in, like, a little area, I feel like because I just didn't have it right, like. So I would kind of, you know, cause like you're like on the interior, you know what I mean? Anyway, so the way it worked, wasn't as bad and then. Yes, here it is, it's like. Super listen.
Wow. You can dim them.
All right, it's time to get started here.
100% right.
We're missing. All right, I'm gonna call to order the city council work study session for March 17th. Imagine Councilmember Morris will be here in a minute. Councilmember Diener is got a work commitment, but he will join us in a little bit. And just wanted to make you aware of that. Also got a couple of items. One that was at the finance committee related to tents. We just want to, the finance committee is recommending to bring to the council next week to modify some code around tent fees. So the finance director will speak to that when we get to that. And then there's a desire by Councilmember Warden to add the downtown grant program tonight if our meeting doesn't go too late. Right, and it's on the work study for next month, but Charlie is prepared to speak to it if time permits this evening. So if you guys are okay with that, we might talk about at least the tents and hopefully the grant program if the evening doesn't get away from us. All right, AI policy. Noah, you're the first thing here.
Yeah, good evening. I have invited Sean Dunham, who's our IT manager. He's been crucial in this whole AI policy effort in the city. So I asked Sean to come give us a little presentation on the policy. We had a briefing last finance committee on the policy, and they were making the full council for review. Again, what we'd like the outcomes to be is kind of review discussion of the policy. Barring no changes significantly, we'd like to bring a resolution back to have the council fully adopt an AI policy, and we have that complete. So with that, I'm going to introduce Sean to take it from here.
Okay. Last year in January, we decided, based on state mandates, that we would try to form an AI committee and generate the policy for the city for use. That was in January. We sent out invitations. We had our first initial meeting on April 24th, so almost a year ago. Getting close. Our initial focus on our meeting was to discuss basic AI concepts, kind of set a baseline as to who knew what about AI and didn't know, and educate each other and discuss case uses for example, permittable AI, the Nick Bond program and so on, other case uses from other cities. Noah and I are both members of an AI group that's run by director for the city of Tacoma, Enzo Wang, who's a phenomenal resource. That's made up of multiple cities around the state. That's any new AI things, AI laws or concepts, gotchas, and so on. That was our initial meeting about that. It was formed with cross-departmental collaboration. We had members from pretty much every department in the city, sometimes multiple members. Some people higher knowledge level, some lower knowledge level.
And I'll pause right there. Our goal there was really about education. Yeah, it was coming so fast, so new. We didn't know a whole lot. We didn't know who anybody in the city knew anything. So we say, hey, let's have a committee. Let's get together and just talk. Roundtable this thing. Let's get ourselves educated. We put together some education pieces, some videos. We had discussion about what it meant, the different pieces of AI, whether it's agentic or, shoot, I'm blanking now, machine learning, just the different elements of and how we use the definitions of AI, are they treated differently, to get a base definition, base understanding before we went into really exploring policies.
Yeah, and so as the committee, we discussed creating a policy, formed a policy subcommittee within the committee. Volunteers, for the most part, different knowledge levels in that as well. On these different items. We had several drafts from July to December of 2025. We came up with our final draft version, which is the version in the packet that you all have seen. Gave it to HR to distribute citywide to the employees and union representatives for comments. Got a few comments here and there back. They were all addressed as far as we know.
Any questions that were, or comments that were
Um,
added that you?
There was some grammatical issues that we changed from the final draft. Some of them were, why do we need an AI committee or policy? Why doesn't IT just make all the decisions? But I like to say that, you know, we might be the experts in the technology side, but like, again, using Nick as an example, Nick Bond is an expert in planning and permitting and so on. I'm certainly not. He has colleagues that come up with, you know, ideas to use AI for different things. So we want, you know, the big brain from everyone and everyone represented. So yeah, that was the biggest probably comment was that. And then also, how do we address vetting and approval of AI tools that we might use as a city? So I know, and I have been to several conferences and spoken to colleagues, and everyone is kind of like, take it slow, take it easy. The Washington Technology Department, or WATEC, has put out some guidelines as to what, it was Governor Inslee, I believe, in 2024, put out some standards. This is what we want to do. Some of the gotchas are public records requests.
Yeah.
Initially, it was, we are supposed to record any prompt that someone uses and what the prompt produced when using the AI tool. And then also we call it human in the loop. Each person that's used the AI tool to create the prompts is supposed to also vet it for accuracy. AI can come up with the craziest things and so on.
Yes.
And then also the recommendation so far is to, for a product that's created using an AI tool, we're also supposed to say that this, an AI tool was used in this, but has been QA'd or QC'd by humans, maybe like in the footer of the document and things like that. So that's all part of the policy that we've created.
Yeah, I think that's a big important point that all the entities across the state are emphasizing, that there has to be a human in the loop anytime you use AI. So we want to make sure that was a big part of this policy.
Because if you have your own login for something and you keep working it for whatever topics you want, it'll make things persuasive for you. Yeah, so yeah. Okay.
There are many horror stories.
Yeah,
Yes.
Okay, sorry.
There's great things about it, and there's bad things.
I was curious with the questions were, you know, if any of their questions were actually implemented or just more of concerns probably.
They were more concerned, but some of them were sort of discussed and implemented in the committee already.
Yeah.
And the policy itself is that just that, it's a policy. We also have, it's like a 28-page guideline on acquisition of these AI tools and products and so on. And there's several other guidelines, I think, they're in the packet as well. There's, we have a form that we would fill out to vet the product that the company is selling or giving away or whatever. The nice thing, right now, we're currently using Copilot, which is a Microsoft product. We have government cloud licensing for Microsoft for our emails and so on. It allows us to sort of rein things in a little, but also log any prompts that employees are currently using in case the law becomes public records requests require us to provide those things.
So is it, you've been given direction that is part of a PRA request, or it is not?
So Governor Inslee's directive in the Washington Technology Department was going that way until the federal government changed. So
Okay.
right now, federal government is saying we don't want states to limit AI usage and so on. But the state of Washington is saying this is what we recommend. It was beginning to become a law. I believe. I don't remember what.
But it isn't.
It is not current.
So are we currently asking staff to log any prompts?
It's automatically done with Microsoft products. So
Oh,
That's right. If you guys are only using Copilot,
Yeah,
but when if and when we decide to move,
But yeah, it depends if it becomes law or not.
well, I don't
There
know,
are-
right? Like,
there
I don't
are-
have to log every
right.
search I do on Google.
Right.
Why would I have to do the same thing with ChatGPT? If the public can do that
Right.
exact same thing that
Mhm.
the employee did, they shouldn't have to report that.
Yeah, so I mean, it depends on how the law goes. There are several products out there that sort of record any of the AI tools, prompts and responses, all the big ones at least, which we would look into if that would be a requirement for public records and work with this office, obviously. They know the public records laws way better than I do, so.
And I don't have to sell because this is kind of recent as of March sixth, the state legislature in the session and adopted laws, but Washington State Archives has clarified that when AI interaction relates to the transaction of public business, it qualifies as a public record. That includes both the prompt and the output, regardless of whether the tool is accessed through an agency or personal login.
But I think that would lose in court. By any which way, because we don't log that on Google, right? Like, if you're doing the same thing. I think that they have the opportunity to contend.
You know, I don't think we need to speculate.
Yeah,
on
and Charlie,
response to the-
Yeah, I'd like to call my lifeline, Charlie.
Yeah, absolutely. So I heard a couple questions. The Google browser searches that you do using AI or otherwise, those are considered a public record, but they are ones that have that are non-archival, non-essential records, meaning they're transitory. So you can destroy them as soon as you're no longer using them for any purpose. So if you don't clear your cache and clear your search history, then or your AI generative prompts, then and we have a public records request, then Brandy would send you the affidavit and ask you to search. And I have that happen quite a lot with elected officials who have to produce the printout of their searches. So it's transitory. If you have good records hygiene, you're deleting them on a regular basis. And then AI prompts and the prompts we're fitting them into that same concept. But it's both the prompts and the searches. The archivist is saying that we're considering those public records, but that are transitory in nature. So as long as you're using that good hygiene, you're probably fine. There's going to be a big carve out for when AI is used to develop an ordinance, to develop a strategic plan, to develop a policy, then that will have a different retention policy. But if you're just doing independent research for yourself for the purposes of your job, that is transitory in nature. It's a public record, but it has no retention value.
So am I hearing that right, Ms. Archer, that did I sign an affidavit? Because when I had a PRA and I had to sign the affidavit, did I check my Google search? I don't recall that being.
You're not on
the.
If the request, so what I'm describing is I've had requests received by cities where a requester says, I want the Google search history of the elected officials. In that narrowly tailored request, then we would send you an affidavit, ask you to search, and then give us your Google history. If you regularly clear your cache, you'll have no records. But if you don't, then you'll be giving us those records. And remember, you can't redact personal. The record is what the record is. If it has any work-related things, you need to give us the whole thing.
That would be on the city server, and we're not, like, our laptops are not on the server.
That would be on your personal device, if you use your personal device for city business.
Which is why we have computers. Correct. That are not our devices. Correct.
If you don't use your personal device for city business, then you don't have to worry about that. It would just be whatever searches you run on your city issue device.
And so these are the main policy objectives that we decided on. So establish a clear governance framework, how it's used transparently, accountability, promote innovation through case use and so on from the various departments, and privacy and security for prompts.
What about training?
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
Jumping-
You're good.
jumping-
Yep,
jumping
no,
out.
you're
Okay,
fine.
sorry.
You're fine. So these are our core principles that the committee decided on. So innovation, use it responsibly for the community and our services, part of our vision, mission, and values. Transparency and accountability, make sure that they are compliant with all laws. Bias reduction, humans are naturally biased. AI can also become biased by the human using it. So that is.
Thank you for pointing that
I
out.
know. And that has been addressed by HR as well. So that was one of their kind of questions that was sort of discussed a lot. Bias reduction and data privacy is our responsible logging and so on, the records. So,
Can I ask you a quick
Yeah,
question,
absolutely.
Heather, about privacy? So, I was speaking with somebody about AI and they were saying that there are ways to use, like third-party vendors so that you don't have to sort of open up privacy issues because you're using so many sort of vendors down the line. Like are we, I might be saying this incorrectly, but are there any considerations for that? So that we're kind of limiting, I guess, who gets access to private, or how you say it's, documents or data that has potential privacy issues. So you know how it's like machine learning, and then if it's going out into like
Right.
multiple vendors. So are there any considerations for that in terms of, you know, when you're looking at potential vendors to use?
Right, yeah, absolutely. And that's part of that responsibility framework that we were talking about. So again, to use Formidable as an example, those records that are being fed to that system are public records. So I mean, they could request it anyway and use it any way they want. Part of our vetting process and the acquisition guideline for AI tools for the city be to not allow data that wouldn't be publicly accessible or through a records request or whatnot to be given out to other parties, a third party, say. So that's all part of the framework that we've set up as a committee to keep that data private if it is meant to be private, if it's meant to be public or available to the public. Can't really do anything about that.
Right.
They can access, you know, ask for it outside of our procurement of the product.
And is there gonna be like, is that when you talk about the HIL or
Human in the
HITL,
loop.
is that sort of something that you're gonna be integrating in that, sort of as a QC layer?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And like I said, I mean, AI is, some people think AI is infallible and completely accurate. I've never found one that is. So it's always good to check
Mm-hmm.
for sure. So yeah, your restricted data. So part of the vetting of the products are we label the data as confidential, highly confidential, non-public information. We will not allow, unless it is an internal tool only, for city use only, won't allow any of that type of data to be used elsewhere.
So, because I don't know the classifications by data, all PII fall underneath those categories.
I would say that's a Charlie question more than anything. Does all PII fall under confidential, highly confidential, or non-public information?
I don't believe so. I don't believe so.
Okay, so I think my only concern about any AI use for the cities, I would say you could have pretty unrestricted based off of what I know now, aside from inputting of any PII, right? Other than that, I would have zero worry about any staff member.
And that is part of it. And that was what
Yeah, that would be
the
the only
HR,
thing.
Debbie and HR as part of the committee also, that was one of her big
Well, not even just they, right? Like,
policy for sure.
no, Director Crocker's team, not putting anything, billing or anything that would have any PII in there as well. So, not just thinking like HR for employees.
Yeah, financial data and so on is included as well. So yeah, we have a formal approval process I kind of discussed a little bit. So we will have an approved registry. Currently, Microsoft Copilot's the only one that is approved for use because we have visibility on it by logging the prompts and data and so on. A new request that the director might request a new tool. Hey, I was at a conference and I found this great new thing that will help us with public. you guys take a look at it. At that point, we have a flow chart. So procurement request, risk analysis, the IT department, myself and Jake would do an initial assessment, whether if it's just us doing research, if we need to talk to the vendor back and forth. We've created a form, sort of check boxes, grading and so on to assess if it's a minimal or no risk. We would approve it without having to convene the committee, so make things a little faster. If we had any concerns, medium or high risk products, we would convene the committee, the AI committee. Using the AI fact sheet that we've created that the vendor would fill out for us, and then our vetting process, the impact assessment that the IT department has done, and then the committee would do a final review. Pre-launch, which includes training users, I know you brought that up. We also have a few vendors already. I've all probably seen the know before phishing training that's required for everyone to do. They offer lots of AI classes and products and tools, and any product that we will use, we will also implement training for that product before we just, here you go, use this thing. So, because people can use it incorrectly and do bad things.
Yes, I have another question. It's what you said, but I just kind of want to,
Sure.
it just kind of, before like refine it, didn't you have more defined? So with the HIL, with the human in the loop, would there be a requirement that please agree that they will only use the AI for initial drafts or for editing human draft? Because I know we were talking about using it in policy and all that kind of stuff. So anywhere where there's actual like documentation being required, being created by AI, are there considerations for that?
There are, yes, in the policy, subject matter expert name part of that. So again, I'm technology subject matter expert, finance expert. If it was a finance product, he would be the human in the loop for that. Some of that's addressed in the policy. As far as drafting ordinances and things like that, I'm not sure.
Use of it.
Right.
And who would be talking about that, how the employee, that's like an HR thing, right? That'd be director one, would be overseeing like them trained and agreeing to not. solely use it.
Yeah, I think the way we've envisioned it, right, I would say we're learning. We're learning, right? This is new, it's moving, and we haven't done anything yet. So it's hard to answer all the questions when we haven't done it yet and been through it, right? We've been through a process to go, like, okay, yeah, this is what we've stumbled into. But I think what we envisioned was mainly IT leading the training, using the policy, using kind of Copilot as an example. And once you start doing that, I think you'll start running into those questions and seeing how the policy actually can be administered.
Well, I guess, can we have that as part of the initial policy then?
Human in the loop is in the policy, yeah. So
No, not meant like human in the loop, because that seems very broad to me about what human in the loop can mean, but specifically stating that if like I said, if documents are being created, that AI is being used basically to edit, like an initial human draft, like help to refine it.
Like a make
Or-
this email more happy or.
Yeah, exactly. But that maybe it's limited to an initial draft with again, the sort of the final documentation having to be I guess you're saying this is that the policy where the final draft has to be basically, we'll call it human stamp approved and created essentially. Okay.
yeah, essentially, before there's a final product, a human, the subject matter expert,
Okay.
the one responsible for the document, for the production of the output,
Okay,
has to
that's
sign.
what you're,
Yeah,
okay,
that's the way we're
Right.
essentially thinking about this.
all right, okay, thank
So they'll use AI in between, but before the filing goes to the council, he's gonna sign up, yes, I have reviewed this. I'm no record testing to this, that I
Gotcha.
verify this for quality control purposes.
So are you saying employees don't use AI right now, or they use it, but now we want a new policy?
Everyone uses AI.
Yeah.
Right, so that's what I'm just like,
They're currently using Microsoft Copilot because they have visibility. not really, it's the Wild West out there. Pretty much every product
Right.
uses AI. Everyone's promoting their own, mine's the best and so on.
But I like the transparency that you guys are bringing forward in this.
So this is our first run at a policy. A lot of cities are doing this right now. Not all cities have policies. In fact, a lot don't. So I think we're ahead of the curve in the policy front,
In the state for sure.
in the state for sure. So if everyone had it, then it'd be a lot easier to answer all these questions. Because everyone else would have thought this through.
So no. At last year's AWC conference, there was quite a few breakouts on AI. Some Copilot folks from Microsoft were there discussing with us. There were some target cities that were using it and developing it previous to the AWC. I think one of them was Squim and one was Bellevue, perhaps.
Probably Bellevue.
Bellevue's literally heavy.
Like Steve, was it big? People like Steve.
Darwin AI is.
I knew it had an S in it somewhere.
Yeah.
I knew he was big.
Are we reaching out, learning from them?
Absolutely, yeah. There's a group called ACIS, ACCIS, statewide IT information systems group for local governments. It's actually a conference in April that I'm going to in Kennewick, I believe, where everybody meets, and the focus will definitely be on AI. It has been the last several conferences, so.
Yeah, it's been in there.
And then we have a listserv where everyone can reach out with questions, just had one recently with the door access control system, hey, what's everyone using? And everyone kind of chimes in. Same with AI and AI policies. So.
Yeah, and you also have the Washington State Technology Office of WATAC having, I think, monthly or quarterly meetings about this specifically, like what the state's doing, how they're implementing struggles they're having, and then talking with their peers. So there is continuous conversations about AI as it's evolving.
And the special interest group with Tacoma and
Yep,
everyone.
GovTech.
There's at least 60 members of that, so.
Yeah, there's another kind of nonprofit called GovTech, which pushes out weekly trainings on it. And they have the industry's top businesses there. You got Intel, you got AMD, you got Microsoft, you have all the big tech companies that are coming to talk about, not necessarily Washington State, but AI nationally, globally.
And I really think this state's leading a lot of things too. I mean, it helps to have all the big tech companies be in the Seattle area for sure.
I'm more interested in learning, having the city learn from the mistakes of others.
That's why everybody that
We
says
call
baby
freelance.
steps, baby steps, take it slow. Yes, absolutely.
But that leads into my question about learning from those mistakes, Mike, when you talk about the crawling before you walk on AI, mine is the concern about security breaches. And I know we're, obviously you're talking to other cities and other, state and everything, but there is well, I'm not worried about the matrix or things like that. I do have a certain paranoia.
Same.
About,
Keeps me up at night
about,
sometimes.
no, I mean, about how are we, are we doing any additional, extra scrubs, or are we, it's more of a curiosity of how are we making sure, and there may be never 100% safe.
Yeah, I mean, nothing is, but yeah, for us right now, secured the grant a couple of years ago for a company that they were based out of Bremerton. They were purchased by a company in Arizona now called Lumify. It's a 24/7 network operations center. They're monitoring everything coming in and out of our network. And I get alerts if they'll flag things low risk, medium risk, high risk. They'll call me on the phone. There's a call down list, myself, Jake, Corey in the finance department, and Noah eventually, if they can't get a hold of us. So it's a great service and a product. Since our IT team is only 2 people, right? 2.5 with Corey. So having a team monitoring everything coming in and out of our city network 24/7 is a fantastic service, I think. So.
And these are great questions, but
Yep.
we probably need to get back
Absolutely.
into what we're here to talk about tonight.
So the final slide really is just implementation and support. So final policy adoption, then we would distribute AI users guides and training materials to employees or the directors, and have the directors distribute as they see fit. continue meetings for use case discussions and assessment of new products that anyone's heard of, seen at a conference and so on. And then establishing the human in the loop standards for people reviewing is what you had asked. about.
Yeah.
So that's it.
Director Carter, did you say that people are having to fill out a form each time they use it? Did I hear you say that, or did I mishear that?
No, we haven't went through that, right?
I agree, but is that the intention of the policy?
No, not, you mean each time they type a prompt and.
Yeah, there was something in the interview when she was trying to gain clarity on how people would use it and the human in the loop question. He had said something about they have to submit it and fill out a form.
Spent the state.
Did I miss that?
Yeah.
QC by a human.
Yeah. And conceptually, someone has to sign off on it. We don't have a form, you know, to say.
The initial guidance was to just sort of have a footer on each page that says the AI product was using integration or drafting of this, but was checked by a human. So you don't go that far because it's not law yet. But I think, no, it was just sort of saying a human would check it. They would have to submit a form or anything, so. We don't want to slow down.
That's all.
Yeah.
There was a lot in here and I wasn't
Yeah.
sure which one I was actually supposed to read since the Granicus, because the one was very long, and so I didn't go through it with fine tooth comb is what I'm trying to say, because I thought I'd hear from you guys and go back and nitpick on it. Okay. And when is this coming back for our approval?
Where are we at? We're at March 17th. I think we were targeting end of the month.
So next
Okay,
week.
so next week.
Yeah, I mean, the policy's ready. It's here for discussion, any consideration. Otherwise, we're ready to adopt and then
I'll get on the
start
week
training
after.
and really. And again, I would say this is our first run at a policy, so don't be surprised if we come back in a couple months and say, hey, we tried this, didn't work, we're gonna refine this a little bit. We're gonna work with the policy.
I'll bring back.
So that's actually a question I had, like, has council ever worked with, a consultant to come in and explain things, like especially something that's like high level as AI? To say like, okay, this is what you want your policy to make sure it has, this is what I'm noticing, like an outside. They were the
You employ an expert, right? During the seat.
He's our expert. Yeah.
I would say we've had
I meant like-
consultants, so like when we adopted sewer rates, right, we had,
Well, that's required. That's a state.
We could do it in-house, but we, yeah, but we lack.
No, the sewer plan, that was a state requirement.
We have to have a plan, but I don't know, we have to have.
It was.
We just don't have
We had-
technical expertise to do it.
yeah, what I would say is that we brought in a consultant to help us do the sewer plan, and then we did the sewer rates.
Yeah.
And they provided guidance on industry best practices and standards, rates and requirements and all those kind of things. So I would say, yes, we have
Yes.
time to time brought in industry experts on this
I know.
thing to give us
Yeah,
guidance.
and I'm not trying to take away from y'all, but it just sounds like you guys are getting there, right? And you're like looking at it from, and I guess for me, I was just thinking about like people who are in AI, you know what I mean? Like not outside starting to use AI, people who actually are like AI professionals, helping us to understand, also being like a little bit forward looking about what we want in a policy, kind of forward looking. Was my idea. It wasn't like trying to knock you guys.
No, and I'd say that's what we've achieved. That's because we've talked to best practices across the state. We've talked with all the stakeholders and different entities. Like I'm not gonna say we're the experts because AI is moving so
Right,
fast.
we talked
But
about.
there's
it.
not
Can
like,
be both.
I hear you.
and there's not like a firm we can call, say, hey, this is the AI
Right.
expert.
We don't need to do
State.
it because you're saying y'all are doing it.
Yeah, yeah. But we gotta keep up with it because it moves fast.
Oh,
And So I
yeah.
think
100%.
generally, Sean, like the approach of keeping the city as a whole, each department committed to a committee. And continue to evolve our education each month as
Mhm.
AI evolves.
Can I join this committee then? Cause I didn't see council represented.
It went through.
Yeah,
It's an
we
employee
wouldn't typically have a
policy.
council member on a staff committee.
Oh, but then I thought we were supposed to be developing policy.
Well, you don't
We
develop
approve it,
policy, you
develop it.
approve
We
policy.
approve it, we don't develop.
Okay, so how do you know what you're approving is good if you don't know anything?
Assume the experts that are hired in the city take care of creating a good policy.
Okay.
I mean, if you are into it, I'm happy to forward you GovTech, and you can sign up and be a part of that training.
Thank you.
I'll forward you as many
Done.
training opportunities. as I
Done.
can.
Awesome.
I think that'd be great because
Right.
it's a lot. It's a lot.
Okay, so are we comfortable with this? If staff's ready, you can get it on the agenda to see it next week? Is there anything you guys?
I guess my question was, when I was listening, I mean, I heard John make a comment, and maybe I heard it wrong, is that we're gonna look at it more in depth, and I'm just wondering is, do we wanna look at the policy, have a little bit more time, so we can ask questions of the department, you know, the director, like we do, and that way we're not, the policy doesn't come to us and we got all these questions and then we're taking it back off the agenda. In other words, I just say, can we have a couple more weeks, you know, see the policy
Yeah.
and then have a couple weeks to
We go
look at
through,
it.
first meeting in April is 3 weeks out,
Yeah,
so.
so if we see the policy, that let it allow us to ask our questions.
It is just the one that's the 9-10. Starts with 9-10.
Yeah, that's the policy.
So there was the next one in here was way longer and I was like, I
Yeah,
don't know which one I'm supposed to be reading in depth, and this one was like,
those are additional materials that are guidelines.
yeah, that was.
So it isn't the 9-10 then.
And I just want to put one more comment. So as part of this policy development, again, we start with best practices. And then once we had our draft, we actually sent it over to Charlie's firm for their AI legal team to review. When they provide comments, which was pretty much, so it's good, it's on par with everything else.
So I guess what I was thinking when I said the council wasn't represented, sorry, just to clarify, was that when we were talking about best use, and that's why we're having a representative from each department talk about how they want to use it and things like that and being represented. So I was thinking, yes, it would be nice for us to know policy. Yes, we are relying on you as experts. I still want to know it. But it's also to be represented in how we're using AI. You see what I'm saying? Like, so how every department's being represented, talking about how they're using it and their best use and learning about that. So for me, I was looking at it from that perspective of us being a part of like the city as an organization and using AI in a sense. So it wasn't like, that's what I was trying to say. So that's why, that's kind of more of where my brain was coming from when I saw the list and was thinking, oh, somebody should be represented from how we're gonna use it. So that's when I was asking, it wasn't really as oversight, so our department could be represented as well. So, but also, yes, I do want to know it because I think that helps make better policy from our perspective in terms of what we know, but just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
And just to confirm, the city council would not be subject to the policy, so you'd be able to use whatever IA tools you wanted. You're not.
Great to know.
Thank you, Sean.
Very helpful.
Thank you. All right, we're gonna move on to our next item, which relates to philanthropic giving for the community center. So I have had a number of conversations with Tina O'Brien at Kitsap Community Foundation, and as you're probably aware, I've talked about in my mayor's report that she had pursued a grant. She's pursuing a grant or applied for a grant for the community center. We'll see if that delivers anything or not. I misunderstood initially, and then I believe I talked to it at my mayor's report. We would bring this back here tonight. They don't have capacity to do a fundraising campaign for us. And I apologize. I've got Jason Driver here also, who's got a vested interest in the community center. He's the executive director for Kitsap Regional Library. So I invited Jason here tonight as we talk about this. I know that the library is pursuing a state grant for their portion of the community center. And they are also doing their own campaign. In my conversations with Jason, it's not that we couldn't do it well, they could, it would be a conflict for them to conduct our campaign. If we do a campaign, we need to be working together so that we're not pursuing the same donors, making sure we're working in partnership there. There's probably a limited number of donors in Kitsap County, and we want to, make sure we're not asking the same people for the same dollars. And so I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Jason, or not.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you for having me. Thank you for what you do for your constituents. And Yeah, I think for us, it's what you said, it's about donor intent, it's about transparency. Obviously, we're aligned in that we all want to see the center built, the library is gonna have a critical space. So for us, what's really important is that we clearly spell out to our donors how we're moving, what we're supporting. We don't at all want to detract from what the city needs to do. As Mayor Robbins said, we are applying for a state grant for part of our funding requirements, and then for the rest, we would be out securing donations through our Kitsap Regional Library Foundation, which is has started a capital campaign. And so for us, it really is about donor intent and making sure that we're being clear about who's donating to what. We're all aligned, and so we want to be there. And so it's just a matter of making sure we're on the same page when we start this process.
So remember, we've got a significant contribution from Public Facilities District. Round numbers, the library is raising about $5 million. Based on current cost estimates, we haven't gone out to bid. We're looking to raise about $7 million. Some of that's going to come from our Park Impact Fee Fund. It's eligible for that, and we've been setting some of those funds, but it isn't $7 million. I can assure you, it's a portion of that. And so the real question is, we don't have anybody in-house that can do a campaign and go out and solicit donations. Do we want to put out an RFP and hire a consultant to do that body of work for us, or do we not want to do it? And so that's really the question. Talking to Tina O'Brien over at Kitsap Community Foundation, he believes there's some dollars out there to be had. And she said a typical fundraising expert can raise, she said they're around $200 an hour. We're going to have to pay them for their work. And she said your typical return is about 10 cents. You invest 10 cents, you get $1 back. And so we've got about a year till we're going to construction. And I'm just looking for your thoughts on whether we should travel this path and put a request out there for proposals and interview consultants and employ somebody to do this body of work. So Jay's hand raised first.
The Kitsap Public Education Foundation just recently did that to move to I consider a bus where we entered a contract with a fundraiser to help get us in a more position. Going to look at, lack of better words, larger donors, because the typical in South Kitsap is fine, but where the foundation wants to go, endowment funds, etc. We took a look at the investment, and the number you quoted of $1 on every 10 cents invested is the same number we heard. So it's something that I think is well worth looking at, and exploratory does not commit us. So I would say it'd be worth moving forward.
Okay, so
and also be outside of look that we explore other, funding avenues outside of Kitsap.
So we're kind of at a crossroads here, because whether we're going to put an RFP out there,
That's what
seeking proposals.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I
So
go with
yours-
RFP. Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's your share. You raised your hand.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks.
I was just saying. Did you? No, I beat you. I
Yeah.
did. I
She
should
did. I'm tracking.
So I would just like to reiterate, like last week, we were all asking, what was the difference in the farmer's market? And they pointed to Ingrid, who professionally came on and started garnering sponsorships, like that's what she does. So I think when you have a professional, on that, as opposed to like saying, oh, people, let's get sponsorship, it doesn't happen, professional on it, man, that's what they do. So yes, I just wanted to bring that up, because it works.
Okay, so your support is putting it
Absolutely.
put it on the street. So Councilor Fenton?
Yeah, for an example of you two coming together for sponsorship, that's what I want. What do you mean by that? What's an example
Well-
of you working together?
So this type of giving needs to go into a foundation, okay? The library has their own foundation, okay, and they're raising their pool of dollars. We have a need also. We don't have a foundation. We will need to likely have an agreement with Kitsap Community Foundation has a foundation, but they lack the capacity to do the fundraising.
I get that. You're saying we wanted to come together for sponsorship, that's what I mean.
That's,
So
this
you're not
isn't,
overlapping.
this isn't about sponsorship.
Oh, I thought that's.
This
what
is
you
about
said.
fundraising. Gift giving is what this is about. People making a donation from large trusts or estates or your, I mean, you guys are professionals at this. Who is it that you see give these?
Yeah, so in
significant
my
donations?
experience, both working in Chicago and here for library foundations, typically the pool of donors could be anything from estates, could be family foundations, corporations, wealthy donors who just have an interest in supporting libraries. We've seen it all, right? And the way those donations come in typically is that for a public campaign like this, obviously there's a lot that goes into it, right? For our foundation, we only have 3 people who work for that foundation. So what is involved is obviously getting involved with their base donor pool of individuals who've donated for projects. Our last such capital campaign was for our project in Silverdale, right? And so for that, what it looks like is our foundation would be out trying to secure those donations, asking for those donations based on what that library would be able to get back to the community. The base of that would be here, but we're not going to only be raising donations here, we'll be outside of Port Orchard because there's a vested interest for folks who want to use libraries. Typically, they support them outside of the geographic areas that they're contained in. So I think for us, transparency is critical in making sure that whomever you've decided to hire, if once you go out for a request for proposals, it's going to be critical that our foundation talks to whichever foundation you're going to be working with, just so that there is an overlap, as we said in the beginning. It's going to be important, like whether they're giving money for the building envelope or for the library specific within that, for the first floor facility, we're going to need to be transparent and saying what those donations are for, making sure we're just not hitting up the same donors, because that's going to cause confusion. And eventually it's going to tire people out. And I think it would have the opposite effect, people not donating. So it's going to be critical that we're just on the same page. And to that effect, we are aligned in that we think it is important that, like, we can't do it, right? Because our foundation prohibits us to raise money outside of our library specifically, right? But we have to be aligned in having those entities talk to each
So you
other.
can't raise dollars outside of the city.
Can't raise dollars out for a
Foundations.
Or a
foundation,
library.
can't raise money
Building.
for the building, but
That's
it can raise
correct.
money for the
For the
library
library.
specific, right?
Now, when,
I was about the area of Port Orchard that which feeds that library.
Correct.
So I just understand.
Yeah.
and then when it says like naming rights and all that, are they, for your big donors, are they trying to get their name on something? I just wanted to know
So
that.
that's a whole different,
That's something within this right here.
yeah, so sponsorship is a bit different in terms of, like, if we're going to have naming opportunities, those would be for certain spaces in the library, right, children's area. A structure within the library, for instance, like a play structure or
We did
something
talk
like
about
that.
that.
Black clears versus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that.
This is mislabeled. This was really.
Yeah, I was looking at that.
This is
and I-
only about
I haven't seen it. so-
the giving part. We already talked about the, remember when we went through all the
Yeah,
different
we did,
options?
but
So
this-
that
this is a big
got
deal right
taken care of. This is a different conversation because, you know, anyway.
Okay, but I mean, it's really about just the coordination, like, so if you have whomever you're going to hire and our foundation are talking to each other, there's a great risk of severe overlap.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, sure.
And then neither one of us getting that donation.
Correct.
As long as we're coordinating our efforts and not asking the same people. So Councilmember Morrissey, you have a thought?
Yeah, before we get too deep into it, very conflicted. Mostly because I don't know how successful it can be. even when you hire somebody outside, if you don't have someone driving, just like the manager and then public works department to drive that, if you don't know how successful. it will be. I would also say, I think it's an uphill climb for the dollar amount we're looking for, being that we've never done that.
I don't think it's realistic, I'm talking to Tina, that we're gonna raise all the dollars that we need. She's thinking,
2 or 3.
yeah, $1 million to 3, you know, is probably what we're gonna get. And we're gonna
And
spend,
if you take into account that they're gonna be pulling from the same well,
she was aware of that.
and I know
She's aware.
that is their driving force.
Yeah, and that's, I'm sensitive to that. I wanna make sure that the library is successful because they don't have other sources of revenue like we do. So I'm very sensitive to that.
I'm kind of curious who our big revenues are in our city or outside. that
I'm
want to-
referring to our park impact fee revenue.
We have taxation dollars that we can use in capital.
Yeah, we have our REIT fund, we have restricted dollars that are for capital project needs, and the
And this
library
is
district does not
the only
have.
building that KRL needs.
Or, yeah.
And you're gonna get just.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so you're on the fence, you're torn, I've got
I'm
three that,
conflicted, I really don't think we're gonna be great at it, and if there's a heavy investment up front, I don't know that it's worth it. That's.
John, is there a heavy investment upfront?
we're gonna put a proposal out on the street, we're gonna vet those proposals. I'm gonna probably bring those, and that's where we're gonna learn how much it's gonna cost us and how many, hopefully in that proposal, they're gonna tell us.
Council has to approve.
You guys have to approve it, so I guess the first step is putting a proposal on the street. The second is getting that proposal, evaluating those proposals and bringing that back here to say, I think these consultants will have a good idea too, what's out there, because that's what they're doing out here. So,
At this point, there's a no lose to that because
Yeah.
we still have to approve it.
Correct, I mean, if he wants to go,
Do you have suggestions for other options?
do I mean, we're gonna pay it out of our budget, right? I mean, again, we're gonna have to find it one way or another, again, we're gonna have to put $500,000 up.
Yeah.
And say, you know, I don't know what my threshold would be either until I see that
Yeah,
proposal.
we don't have
I
that
just-
information.
I don't think we're gonna spend $500,000, but I think we could spend $50,000. You know,
And again, for me to spend that out of the limited funds we have,
Yeah.
I don't know, where's my guarantee, right?
If 50 kind of pays for it. You know,
I agree, right, but,
I hear.
what are those? Right?
and I'm spitballing on that number,
I hear you too. I mean,
But the
let's
point
get
is
the info.
that costing will come back to us for our approval before.
Like what Jay said,
I was just also just ask, I guess. You're looking for two answers tonight. Should we move forward with it? And can we work with it? If we move forward, I would absolutely respect that we would.
that's not negotiable. We do this, we have to work hand in hand with the library.
Yeah, that's.
So really the first,
No-brainer.
yeah, we have to, I mean, that's just.
I don't think
Whether
anybody-
we-
I've said
not.
alignment about 8 times tonight, I'm gonna say it 2 more, alignment, that's 10.
Yeah.
We're aligned.
We absolutely are.
So I get it, to bring that all back to then, if you wanna go put out and do the work to bring us a proposal. We'll
Downtime
evaluate
and
it,
attorney time,
and
we're
we'll
gonna,
evaluate it, but not.
Yeah.
guarantee, not gonna say-
well, I know who, like, from the Jay mentioned earlier, I know who that organization talked with. And I totally trust their feedback on what they're doing. And I agree with going. Going for this.
Okay, sorry, I'm sorry, question raised by you. No, I mean, again, as you said, it's just for the proposal, and like anybody else, we check references and we'll know how their work is.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying this, from the first step, I think we do agree, okay, let's put the toe in the water and see where we're at. The fact that you two gentlemen are aligned, I think is awesome, it has to be, we're co-tenants, so to speak. So, I mean, you know, on that side, so.
yeah, I mean, provided she's got capacity, I'm probably gonna ask to lean on Wendy over the, as I'm about, because I'm not a subject matter expert. And I've got Tina over at Kitsap Community Foundation. Are two resources I hope to lean on as we develop this proposal and evaluate the proposals, because
I know somebody too.
I'm learning as we go along here myself too.
I'll talk about that later.
And I think running over Kita, I think would be a good asset to
Who's that?
join that team. She's the newest member. I can't remember her name.
Oh, I can picture her
Yeah,
face.
dark hair.
Yeah,
I should know that, but.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would tell you.
yeah, okay.
So.
All right.
I see it.
I'm hearing, go up,
Yeah, for
put a
sure.
proposal on the street and
Sure.
we'll evaluate those proposals and we'll see where, so we're gonna have.
This is faster than silver letters. So.
Certainly. It's pretty typical, you know, we can award $10 million contract in a minute and a half and we talk about black letters for half an hour. So, okay, thank you for coming in. You're welcome to stick around. But we're gonna talk about exciting things like tents and
Can we introduce ourselves?
oh, I'm certain.
Yes, I'd like to know who you
Yeah.
are.
Going back to our Rotary Club.
Yes, I do, I knew your face looked familiar. Whenever you want me. Yes. What's your name again, sir? Martin.
And Heidi Fenton, and
Hi,
I'm
Heidi.
meeting you at the community
We-
and school.
We did.
And, yeah, meeting, yes,
Yeah, that was, yes, nice to meet
with
you.
Wendy, yeah.
I'm Jay Rose Pepe and my wife is the
Jay.
president of the.
Susan Rosa
President
Pepe,
of the Friends of the Library.
bless you. Yes,
Sure. Sure.
sure, nice to meet you. I know you.
That's our attorney.
And city attorney.
There.
keeping us-
Hi, Charlie.
so,
Thank you for your.
Yeah,
Thank you. Thanks for
coming.
coming.
I'm reaching out to Scott. Scott said he was gonna be a little bit late, but we're an hour late now.
Yeah.
You guys mind if we jump to the other topics?
No, wait, reach out.
I just did.
Oh.
What we were talking there, and he hasn't responded yet. Give him a few more minutes and then. You guys comfortable with jumping to the other topics and kind of, okay. Okay, how about tents? Mr. Bond, are you online?
Yes,
Okay, okay, so at the finance committee this evening, we just had a topic about the cost for inspections of tents. And there was some discussion, the desire from the finance committee is to put that on the agenda next week to modify our fee resolution. And Nick, if you, somebody want finance, well, you got Nick to take care of it.
Oh, I'm thinking,
Nick,
yes.
You're gonna bring forth the actual pricing for us, so go ahead.
yeah, so first of all, in the spring of 2025, we amended the city's fee resolution where we have all of the fees on one resolution document. It's a 20-something page document, but one of the fees that we changed last spring had to do with permits for membrane structures. And so these aren't the little pop-up tents like at the farmer's market. These are large tents for special events. And under the building code, they do require a permit, and those things have a pretty high wind load. And so there is a risk if you have windstorms that those things can pick up and leave. And so, of course, we want to inspect those and make sure that they are assembled in accordance with the manufacturer's instructions and that they are anchored properly. So when we have special events, it's always been a requirement that you get these permits, but the fee has always been, it was a $0 permit fee. You just paid the technology fee. But what we found is that a lot of times these events would happen over the weekend and they would come set the tent up on a Friday afternoon. And so we were doing after hours inspections. Sometimes we'd have to come back on a Saturday to do an inspection. And between plan review and inspection time, it was 2 or 3 hours to do that work. And so we established a fee per tent somewhere in the mid $200 range. I don't have the exact figure in front of me. But we have an event planned, a special event, one of the car shows, I believe, that is proposing to put up 2 tents, and they feel like getting charged twice for tents that are being set up at the same time was unreasonable or an unfair fee. And so at the finance committee, we talked about revising the structure so that if somebody is having an event with multiple tents, they would pay the flat fee for the first tent and then a smaller fee for any additional tents, provided they're installed at the same time and permitted at the same time. And so I would propose to bring a fee resolution revision to you next week, and it will be a 23-page document, but it will only have one line of red line where we're amending the membraned tent structure permit fee. And so if the council is supportive of that, we would bring it forward next Tuesday.
Hey, Director Bond, I don't think I heard you tell them what your proposed change is.
Yes, you did.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, you did.
Yeah, so to
$50
charge
plus
the
tax.
flat, or is it 250? Is that what the current fee is?
I don't have it up in front of me, but I recall it being in the 220 to 250 range, somewhere around there.
So you get charged that once and then
But that's not-
thereafter.
It's 250.
That's not always planning to bring to us next week.
Yes, currently you pay the 220, 250, whichever it is, every tent. And he's proposing the 220 or 250, whichever it is, and then thereafter, each additional tent would be an additional $50 per tent if we had 2, 3, 4, 5, because we're still inspecting those.
I'm having trouble today. I did not hear that at finance. I heard a $50 fee plus $10 for every tent.
What,
Yeah.
$1 $10 was a technology fee years ago.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Sorry, I totally misheard that earlier and was not,
Okay.
I'm having trouble.
Just because I'm new on this one and I wasn't in finance, advanced on finance. When somebody's doing a special event, is the amount of room that they take up, this is just the tents that are set up by the various vendors. Doesn't have any.
It has to be a vendor, the special event, like the tent that goes over the stage.
Right, yeah,
Over at the Christmas festival, the Saints Car Show
right,
sells a couple of huge tents.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I got that, thanks.
Councilor Trey?
Nick, I proposed this at the finance meeting. I thought we had agreement on this, that this was for a one visit inspection. That we weren't going to do this and then charge the $50 tomorrow to come back and inspect another tent that has been put up. We're going to do this a one visit, and we're done with that. Is that what we all came out of that?
Yeah, they
Wait, you're saying it's an extra $50 each tent?
Each, instead of 220 or 250 per tent, it's the base fee and then a $50 charge for every tent thereafter.
And the idea there is that there are economies of scale for inspecting two tents on the same visit. It's not gonna take them a separate trip driving out there. And the plan review presumably is the same manufacturer, so you're not reading two different sets of specs. It's just more efficient to do that second tent.
That's perfect.
And so this isn't the night market. This has nothing to do with the night market
No.
tents. This is just for like the car show.
The big,
Yeah.
the big tent.
The big ones.
Huge shape. You pay someone to
Yes.
install it.
Right. Well, and they already know this. I mean, this has been going on for years. And so,
This is the first time the fee's been enacted on that.
oh, well, this wasn't, I mean, this is the first time I even found out
Yeah.
about this. This wasn't even on our agenda. I didn't even get to read anything.
We
about
still have
this.
the.
200 square feet.
So
This is the. fee.
historically, we had, so this, what was it, last spring? In 20, what was the year?
I think.
When was this fee enacted? I thought it was last.
The fee resolution was adopted last year. I don't know the exact date. And I did find the fee. It's $225 is the current per tent charge.
So it was enacted last spring. It didn't go into effect until later. So we missed all of the festivals that happened last year. And so this is the first time it's coming up for this summer's event holders.
And they want 2 tents. So we're in charge of them double inspection.
Which is crazy.
So we're not going to.
Right.
Our proposal for finance is one solid, which is $225.
Mhm.
And then just add on $50 for the additional tents because they're already on site.
Right. Well, if they're right next to
Yeah.
you. I'd say if they're doing 2 tents,
We have to have inspection. It's required to have an inspection, 200 square feet or more.
What technique, the third thing that permit.
Yeah,
What, 10 feet?
So our permit software, to pay for our permit software, we charge every applicant that applies for a permit a $10 technology fee. So anybody that applies for a, and they've always paid the technology fee, but that was the only charge that they paid. Now they're being asked to pay for the staff time to do the physical inspection.
And are these tents like right next to each other? They're
They could be, they don't have to be.
They're on site, they're on
on site, but by the same vendor, and they have 2 tents.
most likely, most likely.
This particular example.
Yes, and so, yeah, I mean,
So anyway,
yeah, to double it, no, but, but this is the first time, hey, you're paying $225 now. If they're both from the same vendor, why isn't,
What if they're not?
oh,
Do you change your mind?
no, but that's why you're doing $50 on the second one for the same vendor. So if
No,
it's
it doesn't have to be the same vendor. What I'm saying, it doesn't have to be the same vendor.
So who's the 125 and then who pays the $50 after that?
The permit holder.
Yeah, I think your vendors are wrong. You're thinking vendor at the fair. He's thinking tent vendors,
No,
whoever
correct.
created the tent.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking too. The same person at this event pays 125, I mean 225, and they're doing the same tent right next to each other or whatever,
yeah, maybe.
is $50 more.
No,
Well, I'm like, hey, you're already paying 225, why don't you just get that second one free?
Oh, no. Cause they're still out there, they still have to walk, go there and inspect it. It could be on the other side of, it's the cruise, it's a cruise car show, right?
Yeah.
It could be, one could be over the pavilion, one could be over at Fleet Hall, right down the hill right here, you see what I'm saying? It's still staff time that they're out working.
Reason I brought this up was because if we got a concern was raised by one of the nonprofits, we took it to the finance committee. Finance committee wanted to fast track this and bring it to the council
Well, I
meeting
see
next
what we
week. And so that to address this, so,
Oh, rightly so.
so thank you for your indulgence.
I think they'll be happy with that. For sure, the cruise, they'll be happy with that.
Wait for Scott, we can do either good for the order or.
I've got
Short break.
one
Can
housekeeping
I add
issue.
just more while we're on this topic, we talked about finance too.
Sure, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so the same group that's asking for this has asked for LTAC to be reopened. Because they were not awarded money, they did not get in their application. I want to make sure that I'm not speaking on behalf of all of us, while I am the chair, one of 7 here. My implication that I need to get them a response, my gut says is no, we're not gonna reopen it. The reason being, I have no budget to reallocate. All the people with the budget that we had have been awarded contracts, and I can't rescind those contracts because the contracts are out. So, the car show, we want them to stay. So I am happy that we're all saying, yes, we're okay with this change in the 10 fee structure, because they're already going to be behind us because they don't have LTAP money coming.
And they usually do, don't they get LTAC every year?
It's not a large.
It's not a huge chunk, but I don't think they have a huge budget for their overall.
They missed the process.
They missed the process. So is everybody okay?
Jay's got his hand raised.
Oh, sorry. Okay. I thought you were running to something.
Having been a chair of the LTAC committee, it's opened up well in advance for notification. You know, there's a broad window. And second, as you pointed out, there is no budget that's being held for additional events. And people have, once the award's made, they've already made or in the process of making their commitments for summer. So in this case, I would say, no, not necessarily Charlie. It is something that if we want to revisit later, like saying, let's hold 10% for emergent events or stuff, which we have talked about before. I would say at this point in time, no, I would concur with that.
Is everybody comfortable with John responding then to this, the email request went to him?
It's unfortunate.
Sending.
And I will say that, and all that. I wanted to make sure. we were-
So Charlie, how long is your presentation on the grant program? Can you do that in 20 minutes? You think?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Far less than
Right, I've got one housekeeping item real quick, then we'll jump into that. And then we've got, whether Scott arrives or not, we gotta talk about the town hall format. We'll start that no later than 8 o'clock, so. But he said he was gonna get here eventually, and I messaged him and I haven't heard back, so. We've at our business meetings, we've gotten a little bit clunky as far as pulling things off the consent agenda. And there isn't any hard fast rules in Robert's rules. But it would be helpful, because Jay's Johnny on the spot to approve the agenda typically. But if you email me or walk over to me or say, hey, I'm gonna pull item C off, I intend to pull item C off the agenda, I'm gonna look for you and recognize that and not call on somebody that wants to approve the agenda. So, yes.
So I have a question on that, if you're done.
Mhm.
I would assume, and I would hope that we had done our homework first. In other words, if we have a consent agenda question on the consent agenda, that we ask either the mayor or that department head for clarification. So it's not a surprise to anybody at.
I would hope so.
I would hope so.
But that's not the issue I'm trying to.
No, but hang on to a second.
Okay.
But I know there's been times that I've had wanted to make a comment about an item on the consent agenda, whether a concern or positive or negative, and I was under the impression, this may be the wrong impression, that a consent agenda is pretty much silent.
It typically is.
Yes, so that's some reason why.
Typically what?
It's like, we vote on it as a collective and
Yeah.
not debate the consent agenda.
So that is one item, whether, it's like, that's a reason for possibly pulling it off.
Mhm.
Cause I know I put one off before that was a financial one, this is before your guys' time, where I put one off, a financial one, just because I thought it needed to be read into the record, et cetera, even though it's part of the record, just to be more, I don't like the word transparent, but that's about as close as I can get to that. So that's some of the reasons, but I guess no surprise is the one that I would ask for the consent agenda to be pulled off.
And I'm just asking, just reach out to me, whether it's an email, phone call, or when you walk in at the dais to say, hey, I plan to pull item B off the consent agenda, and I'll make sure I'm looking to you to do that, take that action.
I didn't know there was a problem of saying, hey.
Well, we've had a couple of meetings where we've had to back up because we've got a motion and a second to approve the.
Last week, Jay motioned before she wanted to motion to
Right.
pull something off, and so his motion should have trumped. We worked through it.
We work through it, and
And again,
I'm just trying to prevent those awkward moments where we've got to back up, because I got a motion on the floor and we got to rescind.
Go ahead.
Can I add something to
Yeah,
that?
sure.
Part of this, we talked about after that last meeting. Hey, we have kind of one of these, like, you don't know, and she couldn't know because she's new either, so I brought it up, with this unwritten rule that if you pull it off consent agenda, you're the one who should make that motion when it comes time to make the motion for the agenda.
And
So
then,
that's not a Robert's rule thing, we continue to want to have that be our
But-
unwritten rule, so that we don't have weirdness about somebody jumping in.
and in Robert's rules, though, and you as the motion maker are entitled to speak first on it, so then I
That's the
would.
difference, but again, we have not always, so
Yeah.
it's an unwritten rule, so if we want to stick with it, then we can we're all here except for Scott and say that that's what we want to do.
And I will tell you that it is much easier sitting in the chair you're sitting in now than sitting there, because it's harder to see people. So until I get my flounder eyes where I can see everybody, I'll be a little bit more conscious, not trying to jump the gun.
Of course, that was just trying to
It's just
run a
all
more
good stuff.
efficient meeting, that's all it
It's all
was.
good.
Yeah, what I said, I thought that I read that Robert's rule says, if you're going to talk against something, you're not supposed to give the motion. So that's why it was like, then you're not supposed to speak in the negative. So that's where the confusion came from me, not making the motion, because I read that Robert's rule. So yes, in the future, now that I've been told, it doesn't matter if you're gonna speak against it or not, our rule is to make that motion once you pull it off the consent agenda. I now understand that. That's what the confusion.
In 20 years, I've never seen a consent item pulled that didn't get approved. It's typically somebody wants clarification, wants to know more about it.
Yeah, be more transparent.
Yes, so.
Part of that just came from, she pulled out the agenda, and then I looked at her last week, and I go, oh, and she's new, so I had to, again, it just brings us to that type of, it made me realize, we never even talked about it when the three of us were new.
Yeah.
But it just kind of was one of those unwritten rules that everybody does.
when you,
I think it's
we do it
important.
for a while. Yeah. All right, let's, Charlie, go ahead. I see your hand raised.
Sorry, just real quick. I just want to make sure that the council are all aware of what the consent agenda is for, because I think I heard a comment about it not being transparent. So staff does what the council tells us to do. So if you give us rules about what goes on consent and what doesn't, we follow those rules. So whenever you see something on consent, we have put it there because you told us that it goes there. We're not trying to advocate for a lack of transparency in any way. We are simply doing what you've told us. So if you want to change those rules, go ahead and change those rules, but we do what you say.
Yeah,
Yeah, it would
and
be
those are,
easier to like, if I see something I think I don't like, and then be able to email and say, hey, can we put something consent agenda, like, and make.
100%.
yeah.
And I
That's
strongly
fantastic.
encourage you to reach out to the staff member about those questions in advance. I strongly encourage that. Because any sort of we live by the no surprises rule, right? That is absolutely the adage that we live by. All
If I get
public-
it clarified, I want to pull it off, I just sent an email saying pull this off.
Yeah, can't count the member, but that email goes to me because I'm the one trying to facilitate the meeting.
And that only works before it's published. Once it's published, then it is a published agenda that can only be modified by the full council from the
Right, this
dais.
is usually my problem, it's already been published.
We don't get it before it's been published.
Yeah, we get it once it's been published, so then.
Okay, yeah, and so let me back up. I apologize. So when I'm saying we do what you say, you set the parameters for what groups of topics, what ideas, purchases versus planning documents, what you want on the consent agenda. You set it at that level, and then we follow that framework. I'm not saying for each individual item. Yeah.
Done by the mayor, so that's why by the time we get it, it's already been published.
Yeah.
So then it seems that we have to just do it the way we've been doing it.
And we don't have to. You have a rules committee that's meeting to talk about this sort of thing. So you can set categories of consent, but it is agency specific. The King County, everything is on consent. That's their default. Other agencies, fewer things, but it's the council that sets those boxes, all 7 of you.
As a rule, things that are contract renewals, which they're not, they're new topics, like Councilman Devon, you've never seen an annual contract renewal. If it's budgeted, and Noah's not here right now, budgeted and to a certain dollar amount, and that dollar amount escapes me right now, but those are the general rule consent items that we put on there. Contract renewals, routine business, things that happen on an annual basis and purchases. Yeah, with that's 10 modifications, probably gonna get thrown on the consent agenda.
Yeah, there's some though that we should talk about because it
Well, it's
wasn't
your-
out there more, that's
Yeah,
why.
it's your prerogative to pull those
And the
items. So
question,
For sure.
question's not pulling, question is just the process of doing it.
Right.
just let me know, you wanna pull that off.
Exactly.
So that I recognize you. Okay.
Yeah, and you'll recall from our rules and responsibilities training that Robert's Rules has an embedded rule that your meetings have to be an efficient use of taxpayer resources. Jurassic Parliament recommends about 2 hours for your meeting. So that's one of the reasons we use consent to expedite, because you're using taxpayer resources to be holding your meetings. So just also you want to balance that with what you pull.
All right, let's jump into the grant program and try to give this about 15 minutes if we can. We finish. So
Sorry.
Charlie, I know you've done some homework on Auburn's program. Remember, we've got the dollars program for the $100,000 for the downtown improvements to storefronts.
Right.
We've been doing some outreach. And the next step is we need to get an ordinance passed and an application available. And Charlie's going to talk about the Auburn program, which has a good program, and then get some direction from you guys so that we can get this on your agenda and get these dollars deployed.
Yeah, absolutely. And are you leaving, Mayor? Did he want me to stop?
I'm just stepping out for a second.
Okay, sorry. So Nick Bond and I met with the development director of the city of Auburn about their program, which is titled Facade Improvement Grant Program. And that rose to the top of our search because that is exactly what, as far as we've understood, the council's direction to focus on. A couple key elements of City of Auburn's Facade Improvement Grant Program. One, it started from a declaration of an emergency from the mayor. So the mayor's office issued a declaration of emergency as to the condition and safety of the downtown core. I think we don't have to say safety, but I think if we start with a similar declaration, that gives us some leverage to avoid gifting challenges, other things that are normally associated with grant programs where the ultimate recipient of the funds is a private business. We also focus on the benefits to the public of the program, and that's how we establish that this is for a valid program or for a valid public purpose. So the City of Auburn's program focuses on the restoration of the facades of their historic and unique buildings in their downtown core. They grant approximately $100,000 per year for this program, and it is a rolling first come, first serve grant application process. So if the first applicant wants the whole 100,000 and actually 30,000 is the max. So if they get one applicant who wants 30, they will go ahead and grant that on a first come, first serve rolling basis to the extent that's the direction from the council. They utilize a matching program for theirs, and these funds shall only be used for facade improvements that are of a certain nature. So commercial property owners or business lessees with written authorization of the property owner meet the eligibility requirements. But buildings with more than 25 full-time employees or that are primarily residential do not meet the criteria. And newly constructed buildings do not meet the criteria. You need to be one of the historic older buildings in order to meet their criteria.
Carly, do they define that?
They do, yeah.
You don't have to tell me what it is. I just want to know that.
Yeah, absolutely. So then as to their matching and the actual award structure, they have 3 categories. The first category are grants seeking money for improvements of $5,000 or less. These are things that do not require building permitting, such as painting, some decorative lighting, signage, awnings. Nick will recall the director said they may be removing signage because of a concern with a more direct funding of something that's exclusively for private benefit. I think as it designed, it was wall-mounted historical signs is what they were looking for, but it tended to be used for proprietary business purposes instead. So they're removing that from their program. Enhancements such as trim, other decorative elements. If you get that first category of a grant, you have no matching obligation other than you're expected to do everything within that 5,000. So there's some volunteer labor likely expected. If you're in category 2, that's improvements above 5,000 but under 50,000. 50,000 is the cap, not 30. They will obviously require professional design services and will have a graduated matching contribution. These are usually capturing window, door, storefront upgrades, masonry work. They have extensive brickwork in their downtown core, significant lighting upgrades, carpentry, molding. This does require a match. And it is a sliding scale. Typically, it is 30% owner, 70% grant funding, up to $30,000. That's where the $30,000 comes from. So the sliding scale, I think, depends, or what I recall, depends on the type of labor you're using. If you're using volunteer labor or otherwise, you can offset the monetary match. But for the most part, their match is 30%, 70%. But as it goes up to that $50,000 cap, $50,000 field between 30 and 50, the match increases to 50% owner, 50% city. So that category 3 improvements that are at $50,000, I believe he indicated they haven't done very many of these, but this is full facade restoration, significant structural or electrical work, significant historic restoration, and then a complete facade redesign, reconstruction. We spoke with him about some of the challenges, and one of the challenges that he also had identified is properties that have tenants with a short-term expectation are less inclined to try to pursue this funding. So they're looking at alternatives to make a tenancy requirement or a long-term lease requirement for their program in order to encourage folks who aren't going to be moving in and out quickly from using the money for signage purposes primarily. So that is how it's structured. It's all reimbursement based. So you are submitting your receipts rather than getting the funding up front. That can work for some programs. It can't work for others. But that is primarily how they were operating it. They also, just full transparency, have multiple other facets to their downtown revitalization program. They have a Main Street organization. They have I believe they have a creative district. They have other elements to the revitalization of that downtown core. This is just one of them focused on the facades. Any questions, or Nick, anything you wanted to add from our conversation?
Nothing to add.
Charlie,
Go ahead, Jay.
a couple of questions. One, did they put timelines on for the work to be accomplished by, like saying, okay, you said you were going to do this with this portion of the grant. This needs to be completed within 90 days. Obviously, if you're getting into masonry work, et cetera, it might, take longer. I didn't know if they put, it had to be completed by this time frame. Otherwise, you forfeit that. And did you get any feedback from them about how the program had gone? Like it's been, super duper, they're putting additional funds into it, or it's sort of like they're still in the process of seeing how it goes in the long term?
Yeah, great questions. So the just like with any grant, we experienced through COVID, those grants that we were giving out, we would have a grant agreement that would have timelines, and they did utilize timelines. Not only were there timelines by which the work needs to progress, but then the agreement would also have a maintenance obligation, a maintenance tail, so that not only do you need to do the work, but you need to maintain it for a significant period of time. I think one of the other motivation or the other methods of motivating folks to move quickly is language in the agreement about we are not responsible for any inflation or increases in the costs associated with construction. So move quickly if you've obtained quotes to do this work, essentially is what it says. This program has been in operation for quite some time. I believe it was started in 2019. Pre-COVID, I believe. And the conversation with the director was it's been a successful program. It's still relatively small. They're still at that $100,000, and they're reevaluating this year to add and remove some of the things I discussed, signage, and with some of the other elements that they want to consider adding and modifying the program. So we got all of those from him to, list as lessons learned as we build yours.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So do you like we're trying to build this plane while we're flying here. Do you like the tiered approach that there's some dollar amounts that are small, that are probably largely administrative, first come, first serve, if you want to put new lights or something really minor, or do we want to have that feature that Auburn has? Was it 10,000, Charlie, or 5,000? Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I can share the chart. They have a chart that shows you exactly what the match is. And I don't know how much you can see the screen, but I'll try that.
Yeah, it would be nice to
You
get.
guys like that feature? Mark's saying yes, John's saying no.
So there's only one business down there that really could just use a touch up.
Yeah.
There's more than one, isn't there?
Well,
No.
Just like,
Oh,
yeah.
they all need a bunch.
Yes.
I don't know that I'm interested. I can understand at some point I want to add that back in, but
On the first
go, I want a major impact, right?
Yeah.
I'm not interested in something that's not.
I have concern with their some of their caps. Maybe that's what we want, but these are coming to you guys. I think you guys want maximum we want to match, but I think we want maximum flexibility, as John's saying. We want to make an impact, and we want to deploy all of these dollars yesterday. And there's one property owner in particular that's very interested, ready to move forward, and it's a very prominent building. And what about the So I would recommend flexibility.
I think 70 is, I'm sorry, go ahead, your hand.
Yeah,
up,
well,
right? No.
Anyways, first.
No, I was asked to keep an open mind for the small improvement, because even a small improvement, if it's just paint or something, can make a big difference. So I don't, I would like at least a little carve out for, because it's first come, first serve. So if somebody's in there that, they got like 5,000, just set aside some, so not everything goes to a major project. That's my only.
First comes, first served with the starting date. So you say this is the date, and this is the first date that you can apply.
I would think it would go into effect
We don't.
whenever you guys pass the ordinance.
I just feel like there has to be a date, because otherwise, the way people find out information around this
Oh,
place.
I'm sorry, that's not accurate. We have sent out letters to every single building owner and business, and we have had one person that I spoke to this weekend. Is interested, only person interested, so
Okay.
I hear you, what you're saying and about that, but
So
You're saying you have the information, that's fine.
Yeah.
So otherwise, I'm like, I don't like the way the information goes out,
yeah.
so, but if they have it, then that's fine.
I think if, once they see your building or the building that they're gonna do, then other people will come along but I don't see anything in black and white. Did we get that email? I wanna read something. I don't wanna just,
But
well,
We're trying
what
to
she
give
was
her
saying,
guidance, create something, so.
nothing's been created.
Nothing's been
well,
created.
I know, but I haven't even.
She had it on her screen up there.
I can send it around via email too. This is just Auburn's program. So if you give us a head nod conceptually, we'll build a program for you to approve, we're not gonna just do Auburn's program.
No,
Well,
but that is an example of
This-
going with.
This go round for 2026, whenever you guys get this ordinance or resolution passed, we'll get going on it. If this is funded again in the next budget, I would imagine the trigger is gonna be January 1. We're gonna market this program in January 1, first come, first serve. It's gonna be available to whoever applies. I heard
I don't wanna first come, first serve.
you don't want,
Initially.
I don't want
you don't want that either? Okay, that's
I
fine.
would like to put, whether it's a month we put out.
Okay.
Proposals, again, at least up front, we have to be strategic.
Yes.
Eventually, I think when you get into a rolling program where Auburn's at now, and you will mature, but let's move into some of these things. But I think at first, I'm with you with the most flexibility. I would like to say, there's $100,000, send us your projects, and my first impact that thought is up to 50% match. Even if you wanna bring us a $200,000 project and you take all the money, if we all think that that's the best way to move, I think we should be able to have flexibility.
Auburn had a 70-30, up to a 70-30.
Jay.
No, I was just gonna say, I like the idea of getting out the gate, or I'm fine with that. But I do wanna have some caveats on that. And I don't know what they'll look like, because we haven't seen it, but I would like to have some caveats, because I definitely want somebody to come, being able to deliver. On that side, I don't know if it's a bond or whatever, but there's nothing worse than seeing scaffolding in front of for a late time.
Eric?
Yeah, I'm gonna meet with Angela on Tuesday. And she's working really hard right now to create a permit for them with Trinidad Historic. Streamline process, right? I spoke to Charlie. There are businesses out there right now that will donate, not donate, that will provide materials for the project at cost. That will come with a letter and allow everybody the opportunity to provide at cost, so everyone can shop local. I went out and I got an estimate from licensed contractors on specific buildings that Mayor and myself spoke of. There's so much headway right now moving forward that this could happen way beyond government speed. Like this actually can move forward pretty quick. And I just don't want to slow it down. And if we can put an ordinance together, my little AIs right here could actually.
That building does exist.
Yeah, that building, this one here actually exists, but it actually could happen. And the couple that we're thinking of, the reason why, I honestly think based off the quotes that I got, that we could do 4 buildings for the 100 grand, 4 of them.
My question is, when we talk about tenure,
Yes.
I heard January 1st, and my question is,
Next year.
I understood that.
Yeah.
My question is there any carve out that we did a minor amount that we could get off the dime earlier?
Jay, we're talking two different things here. I think you misunderstood. We have dollars we want to deploy right
Oh,
now.
that's what I was.
As soon as we get an ordinance passed.
Okay, then I'm-
I was talking to the future, the
Okay,
future,
I got
as
it.
a budget gets approved.
I'm done.
And my thing is to you guys, like, is how cool would it be, talking about communication? So example, there's one certain project that we're talking about that would take a month. How cool would it be with people downtown to actually see progress down there? And once some of these are done, there might be a certain building owner that might say, all of that for that, I want in on that, or I'm going to move on that, right?
Concur.
Yeah. Yeah, or, I didn't want to say that, but, anyway, really good headway right now. I told Charlie on the phone, in an email, and Mr. Blunt, I appreciate them so much. Like going to Auburn, talking to them and doing all that work for us and making it a priority and jumping on it right away when she said that at the council meeting and she's brought it up. And I was like, I'm thankful they listen to us and they hear us, you know, we have a really good opportunity to do this, and so.
Yeah,
Okay,
it
so
sounds like.
we gotta move on to other items. What I'm hearing here is this go around, at least, we want to have an application process and seek proposals. We want maximum flexibility in what those awards look like. It'll be you guys looking at these. I've heard a couple people say 50-50, Auburn's was 70-30. What's your guys' comfort level with the match component?
I know for sure 50 is good.
You're good at 50?
Going above that is not necessary.
Okay, so we can start there. Do donated labor and materials count in that 50%?
Ooh, that's a great question.
Donated labor,
Mm-hmm.
well, I don't think any person who's licensed and bonded doing the work for these guys are doing anything for.
Sarah Butler gets it all the time.
Well, she does get point weeds.
And painting, but
It's a polls.
The total price of this, okay, this is just me, I'm talking a lot, but this is one councilman's opinion. The total price,
mhm. And how you cover your 50%?
it's split in half, the total
Yeah.
price, the total price.
So ours is cash. If they've got,
Oh, no, I
Oh,
don't,
you're saying they did volunteer work.
so
and
they
that-
got, okay, so
There's a receipt for that.
we're not gonna be involved in contracting, purchasing
No.
materials or any of that. They are, okay?
Yes,
So we're contributing 50% cash.
But it's reimbursable, right?
Yes,
I
please,
just wanna make
please,
sure
please
we're
hear
on
me.
the same page.
Yes, please hear me out. So I'm talking, so now this property owner goes to Lowe's and Lowe's gives them $30,000 worth of siding for $10,000 or free. Does that count for their part of their 50%?
receipts have to be turned in.
Yeah, so they definitely told me the $10,000.
But then they wouldn't get credit for their so Lowe's would have to provide them something saying, you know, we're donating, so they got their siding donated. Let's say they got it donated. The Hardy Board, Lowe's, I know they've got some corporate programs. Okay, so we came up with 50 and let's say this, just round numbers. This is $100,000 project and we're putting $50,000 into it and they're responsible for $50,000. That's the scope of it. and Lowe's donates $30,000 in siding, but they're not gonna pay for that because it was donated. Will that count for their 50,000?
50% receipts.
Yes,
Yeah.
percent of receipt,
Yeah.
yes, 100%.
And I think my thought on that one,
Why would they go out and seek donations then if they can't get credit
because
for
it
it?
allows them to do more with the money. Because if you go out and get that gives you more capacity to do other stuff.
So donated labor doesn't count either then.
No.
It does in Auburn's program.
I think we're work on ours.
Okay, all right, I'm just asking.
We also went to 50%, so.
That's not valid, that's not.
It's the yin and the yang.
But no,
But I'm
Auburn's
thinking-
contributing 70%.
Oh, I thought it was
Conti-
30.
No,
I heard
it's the
that.
other way around.
Damn, I gotta listen.
We're contributing significantly less.
But that's the problem, that's the, 30 to 50,000, they go to like 70%.
Okay, I just wanna try to get that so that we can bring this back. You know, won't be next week.
Population of 82,000 to 85,000. It's a totally different city.
Yeah, I'm.
So it's cool that we're using their structure, but we have to structure it and tailor it to our city.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Charlie, you got enough information there to start working on this?
Yep. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Gotta give up on Scott.
Yeah.
So he never got back to me.
Okay.
Oh, he was at work,
Probably got.
planning commission meeting. So obviously it's not going as planned.
That's his problem. All right.
Let's talk about the, so I will say, I got the third location today, nailed down. I talked to, Pastor Virgil Brown at Christian Life Center today. And the September date has been secured there at their facility at Christian Life Center. So we have all three. So we're McCormick Woods here in a few weeks. The summer, we're down here at, Sam's Place Revive or Gathered, and then Christian Life Center, the three locations. All right. So there's been some email going around. I asked you guys to bring ideas for topics. Brandy's I threw some spaghetti in a spreadsheet, and then we'll just have Brandy add to that. So maybe we want to talk about topics first or format first. What's your preference? Brandy's pulling up my Word document.
You said topic or format?
Yeah, which do you want to talk about?
Well, I think format.
Format.
Would be good.
Appropriate.
And Eric and I shared some dialogue. I'm fine, whoever wants to facilitate it. Want me to, I will. If you guys want to take turns doing it, that's fine too, whatever you want.
Well, I had a thought.
Okay,
And
go ahead.
that is that we elected Mayor Pro Tem. The Mayor Pro Tem be the facilitator of the meeting as a town council. I think there's an important part for the mayor. I think there's an important part for the all the council members. But if this happens the way I think it might, based on what we've seen at the coffee, the large coffees at the HOA, there's gonna be a lot of questions. And I think instead of everybody trying to raise their hand because they're on land use or transportation or whatever, that in this case, the mayor pro tem would be the one facilitating the meeting and making sure that, the order, be heard, because much like you may not know the story, but the 6 blind men with the elephant, is we all have a piece of what the elephant looks like, and if we put them all together, we have an elephant. But separately, we don't, we may be misleading. So I think there's one person as a point person, and one of the reasons we were doing this was as a council town hall, that I think it would be appropriate not to rotate it and to have the mayor pro tem chair these. That's my opinion.
Okay, so I wasn't under the impression that the town hall is supposed to be like a formal meeting, I guess. Like it was supposed to be less stuffy and more engaging with the populating, like our constituents and our residents. And so I guess to me that sounds very formal and very stuffy, and that's one of the reasons why I kind of liked the idea that it was going to change up, especially because let's say you are in McCormick, but you still want to go to, Gathered because you want to go to the whole series. it shouldn't feel the same. It shouldn't feel like you were just heard, you know, the repetition, right? Like it's different. So it's like a part of a series, but each one's a standalone. Whereas this one right now, what I'm hearing just feels it just feels like it's another council meeting, but that's what we're trying to break like free of. So there's,
I don't think it's any way like another council member meeting, but, what I saw in Eric's email was potential of, and that's why I asked for you guys to bring topics, and I threw some on a document, was that Eric was proposing that each council member would take a topic and I would work with staff to get you guys good talking points and educational piece for your topic that you're gonna talk about. And then the facilitator would go down the row of council members and giving each one of you guys an opportunity to talk about a topic. Then there's gonna be more topics. My thought was there's gonna be more topics than there are bodies. I could work with our communications person. I do a town hall presentation. You know, I could make it a presentation, or I could make it a conversation to talk about those topics that weren't selected. And because I think there's gonna be a dozen or more things that we want to talk about and share, because there's a lot going on in the city. Because that's what this is about, is going out and sharing the things that they don't know about and answering folks' questions. Did I kind of capture that? What you were your intent?
I think my thought was if we gave 5 minutes per council member. So say you did a 5 minutes for utilities, as an example. I'll use Jay. Jay for sure could discuss the sewer rate structure that we have in other parts.
Happens to be up, so.
Right, in other parts of utilities. Transportation, somebody could discuss, you know, in 5 minutes, right? You know, some of the projects.
Challenge of that, we don't have as many committees as we got council members, so, yeah.
well, we have a great opportunity for community engagement, right? Like we're going out into our community. Why don't we go to our community and ask them to send us questions that they want to hear, they want answers to,
Well, we're
as opposed to.
happy with council.
Great, that's what I'm saying. So, hey, you have a town hall. What questions do you want answered? Send us an email.
So, I'm sorry.
No, go to.
So my basic structure was time format, because if we stuck to the 5 minutes, then we're on schedule, right? And we're giving a lot
But
of.
is that what you want to do? Would you want to go to your meeting? Would that be something interesting?
I just want to finish what I'm saying.
Oh, sorry.
And then literally, there's no light in front of your face. And everybody can, they can, not everybody, they can walk up there, and they can ask questions, give a microphone, they can stand where they're seated. They can stand up and ask a question and engage back and forth. That, we can't do that in council meetings. You know, somewhere we need to be able to find topics and give out information, because 90% of people that are gonna be there are there for that. And some people are gonna be there because they want to stand up there and vent, right? But would I want to go to a meeting, like you said, a series where they're not all the same? And each one, because each location is different. We could hit a little more heavy performing topics too, right? A little bit more Bay Street topics and business topics down here, or East Side topics where the church is. But we can focus on that, talk about those topics, and then have time for that. In the last 20 minutes, we can go out there and talk to people and engage with them, introduce ourselves.
Or take take a microphone to the floor and ask us. I'm gonna go to Heidi here first.
Yeah, I like the format that you put out there for us a few weeks ago. And that even instead of Mayor Pro Tem, I mean, we all started this because of you two. And now it's all of us going someplace. And the structure in that format was boom, boom, boom. And I like the way we talk about committees, and we only get 5 minutes. You pick your committee that you want, and then, yeah, the people after we all talk our 5 minutes, then, yeah, they can ask questions. But what I really like too is the mix and mingle afterwards of giving us city council members are really talking to the community, and having that.
And I would shy away, my recommendation is to take broad topics versus committees, because what's finance gonna talk about, you know, and I think pointing to committees, but
Downtown project.
yeah, so
Finance is big.
I got a good starting point here, right? Well, for that part.
Well, that's you putting that out, not for us to pick our.
And I asked for you guys to bring.
I did, I wrote something.
Councilman Morrissey.
It's not like we did.
Yeah, Councilman Morrissey, please.
So I think we need to come to consensus on this format, right? Because I think we can amalgamate this to get a little bit of.
Exactly.
What I would say, what sounds like that. None of this should go past an hour and a half. Right, I don't know what we have the room for, but 6 to 8. It should be,
And then there could be.
program should not be longer than 90 minutes, right? There are 7 of us, times 5 minutes is 35 minutes.
So 3 minutes.
We want to give him 5 minutes. 7 times 5 is 35.
Plus the mayor.
Plus the mayor, right? So what we need to decide is whether or not. How much time we give the mayor, right? So I was gonna suggest. We each get 5, that's 35 minutes here. Let's give him up to 10 minutes to cover the rest of the things, okay? And then that's 45 minutes of total presentation.
Facts, nobody wants to just like speak for 10 minutes, let alone come to a meeting just to.
Member, please let me.
Sorry.
And that's your opinion, I would disagree with that, I'd be part of a club that goes, here's somebody every Tuesday, speak for 30 minutes, so, that happens every Tuesday. And so I just, again, that's one opinion, you can be entitled to it, but I think 45 minutes of a pre-prepared, ready to go, hey, these are the things that we know that people want to hear about, or that people are sometimes misinformed at, or just didn't get the news directly from the source, that we can clear that up. Then we can leave up to 45 minutes, however we want to program that, whether that full 45 minutes is a Q&A. We say a certain portion of that is for Q&A, and then a certain portion of that is, hey, we're gonna, I don't care if we break out and do break out and say, hey, it's social from there, or if you want to be on that topic, we're gonna put this group of folks over in this corner and we can do it there, but I think we just need to figure out what that time looks like, and then it's real easy on how we assign
Topics, yeah. Councilor Rose Pepe.
So, Sharon, before you turn off everything, I want to give you how South Kitsap School District has done theirs, okay? And remember, if we try it one way, it doesn't work, we can always change these. We have it 3 times.
Yeah.
Just trying to get out the hot right here. So the way that the school district has done it before is they've had the presentation, regardless of what it takes. They've had a Q&A, just like you were talking about. And then they have breakouts where everybody goes to one section of the room, whatever the room looks like. And then people can gravitate toward that person to talk to them. And then everybody has to write their comments up afterwards, because.
You make that breakout piece there.
Yeah.
But we can't congregate.
No, I understand that. Yeah, I'm saying people literally go to different sections of the room, so you're not congregating. Yeah. And the reason I bring this up is that this happened at the last coffee that I was at, because, you know, we coffeed from 10 to 12, right? And at 12 o'clock, Heidi and Eric were talking to nobody. And I don't mean in any way, they got up and left, and I was there for another half hour talking to somebody who was bending my ear. So my point of the story is, when we say, you know, it's an hour and a half, and hey, book it for 2. If everybody's gone at 90, that's great. If not, we guarantee we'll be there for 2. So I'm just saying is that breakout. So my thing would be, hey, let's try this with presentation first, whatever the topics are, whoever's assigned them. Do a Q&A, you know, see what the questions are from the gallery, and then go to our corners, whatever that means. And, you know, then, yeah, and just try it. If it works, great. If it doesn't, hey, we can come back and try a different way. And Mark hasn't talked at all.
And that's a really good point, Jay. That is, at the end, we can't all go, you know, and gather individually. We need to spread out the room and work the room. And, you know, and yeah. So we haven't heard from you.
So glad somebody brought up the breakouts. idea, because that was on my list. I was concerned with the initial couple of emails that went back and forth here amongst council, that we were trying to separate council from the city staff, the mayor and the city staff. I'm glad to hear that that seems to be coming back together, because these meetings, folks, are about the public and the communication improvement with the public. They are not about us as a council body. They are not about the mayor or the city staff. They're about our citizens. And we're trying to get out, give them a different opportunity and a different layer of communication that they don't get. We've all agreed on this. They don't get when they come up here and they get their 3 minutes at the dais here, and we can't return their conversation. That's what this is about. So I don't care who starts the meeting. We do have to have, unfortunately, I think we do have to have some sort of format to these. But the breakout sessions are critical. I think the mayor's squeezed down version of the state of the city is a very great way to start it off, because that will stimulate additional questions from our citizens and may answer some. And then we take our turns, however you guys want to break it out. So we have our 3 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever. 3 minutes goes pretty fast when they're actually trying to speak about things. And then go to a breakout and let it become less formal, more informal, when they can come to us in each corner of the room, what have you, and ask us questions about transportation or finance or ED, and whatever it is, utilities or whatever. They can flow around the room. I don't think it's a good idea to walk around with a mic and say, "Here, would you like to speak in on this?"
No.
I don't think that's gonna go.
The Q&A though, wouldn't you, I would think.
Yeah,
you'd
they're gonna
welcome
have some questions.
For people raise their hands and we
You
take.
could,
Yeah.
for a short period of time, but I
Yeah.
think that better time spent if we're in breakouts and we're just sitting around the room and letting people come at their leisure to come talk.
So I agree with you, that's awesome, Jane. That's awesome. What I just wanted to add was, the reason why I think it should be limited to 3 minutes, because really the only thing we should be doing is introducing ourselves so they know who we are, what we work on. Committees is relevant, that way they know which committees we're working on. But I think adding a lot more, just kind of like what you said, reminder, we're grounding into the fact that this is an opportunity to engage with them. I think if it's for us 40 minutes of them having to listen to us talk, we've already lost the point of the meeting. So the 3 minutes to me was, again, introducing them so they know who we are. So if they want to talk to you, they're like, "Oh, he's on finance. Let me go talk to him," because of whatever question I have. And what finance covers, what that's relevant to.
That's no more.
Okay, Tom, I want to push back a little bit. This is not about them getting to know me. That was the campaign process, right? This is about, and again, we're getting away from what this was developed out of when Eric and I went into community meetings, right? That people specifically, and that's why we're doing it first in McCormick Woods, wanted to know about things going on in McCormick Woods, right? They wanted to know, when are we getting, we hear there's a roundabout coming, when is that coming? When is this water, like these connections? They want to know about specific things, and that's what this was about to begin with. And so I think that we need to kind of just bring this back and formalize format. So I'm just gonna put together, I would be in favor of a 45 minutes set aside for 5 minutes per topic plus the mayor. I would like to also suggest we put 25 minutes into Q&A and then 20-minute breakout sessions.
Okay, so I believe there's differing opinions. I've heard, I think there's consensus to the mayor pro tem facilitating this first meeting, at least. That we do a program. I'm hearing what John is speaking to as the program. It likely opens with an abbreviated state of the city. And if we're doing these topics here, or a different version of these topics that in that state of the city, I'm gonna try to stay away from those topics. Because if you guys are gonna talk about topics, these topics, we don't wanna be repeating ourselves. And John spoke, I heard from the program, then we go into Q&A for about 25 minutes. And then we have the breakout sessions. Can we all get our arms around that as for a format? Is that?
Yeah, do we want, do you would like to be the facilitator? 'Cause
I would
for
like,
that.
I would like to, everybody to, I think,
For
I
the
mean,
first
I know what Mark was saying, but I think, as council members, and everyone wants to participate. I think it's a growth, it's for everybody to facilitate. I think it's growth for it's involvement for everybody to, get up there out of your comfort zone a little bit. I mean, literally, all you're doing is basically a few minute introduction, introduce everybody, state like why we're there. State basically, these dates that will be the other events, come check out other parts of the city, right? In a nice.
But Eric, I think that at that each meeting though, I think only one person needs to do that. Okay, all right. Yeah, no, that's what I said.
And then, I think. We go off of, like you stated, right, we'll basically assign, right, somebody a talking point,
Yeah.
right? And then you do your state of the city. And then, yeah, whatever it might be, and then we do yeah, so
Q&A and the breakout.
Q&A and then breakouts. We don't need to walk around and meet everybody, we just do breakouts.
Okay,
That's mine.
okay.
You're left.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, I'm sorry, I was just going.
so John, so Jay's recommendation was John, the first one. Is that acceptable to everybody or not?
No, I say, doesn't matter, but I say, Eric.
I say Eric Name because I feel like Eric was really spearheading this.
Yes. I agree.
How do you feel about it?
I don't care about this first one, but if you would do it, I do get, like, I have a worry from my friend over here, who I think would have a hard time keeping everybody on track. Right,
I'm pretty good.
This is not I know this is not a big thing.
So I don't care.
No,
But I want Eric.
we're gonna
to
do
say,
one, at some point it's gonna come to you,
It
right?
is gonna come to you.
There's 2 years left on this term.
Because first of all, like, especially when we're talking downtown, I feel like we're such a.
No.
Okay, so let's dive into the
Way
topic.
enough.
I asked you guys to bring some topics, so I just threw something on. Go ahead.
I know we got our topics up there, but there's a slight ounce of contention here between what we do when we're being introduced. I kind of get a little bit what she's saying with 5 minutes can bore people to death when there's as many of us. How do we streamline that a little bit? Maybe there's things that we don't necessarily have to talk about when we're introduced that can wait until the breakout session.
Oh, for
That's
sure.
why I wish we had an MC.
Yeah.
Oh, 5 minutes.
MCs are like.
Five minutes for the, 5 minutes for John,
Really tight.
5 minutes for.
So I think
Five,
there is 5 minutes, and I think a minute of it's probably your introduction. I'm council member, so and I'm gonna talk to you about the McCormick Woods roundabout project.
Don't worry about it, it's years away, right?
Yeah. Okay, I think and just being mindful of what time we have left here.
We do a
And that's our
5
job.
minute max.
5 minute max, and part of that is your introduction. And then you're gonna talk about, I can't,
That's every 5 minutes.
yeah, 5 minutes, you don't.
I'm gonna cut you off, you're gonna have me lead it.
Yeah,
right?
you might
We're gonna have
need 3 minutes.
We've seen Scott have a hard time running a meeting, like, it's not something we all do regularly.
Give me a break.
So I tried to group some broad topics here, and this isn't necessarily the list that's all that, and I think you guys have ideas too. But the first one, as a broad topic, the downtown projects, Bay Street, the Community Center, and the Orchard Street Plaza. The grant program that we talked about earlier this evening as a topic, the Bay Street pedestrian path. And any of these that don't get picked up, I will incorporate into my state of the city. So we don't have to assign all of these. Bethel corridor, we got Bethel Phase 1.
Sorry, one moment.
Yeah, I'm listening.
Sure.
Thank you for.
The Bethel Lund roundabout and the Bethel Lincoln roundabout. So we've got a number of projects on the Bethel corridor. We've got the Intertie project for our water system on Old Clifton that links the two water systems together. We made a significant change to our sewer rate structure last year. And we should be talking about that and celebrating that, how we brought equity to this program, and our residents are no longer subsidizing business entities, and so the Anderson Hill roundabout, I know in particular, these two roundabouts here, Anderson Hill roundabout and the McCormick Woods roundabout, are burning issues out in that community when I talk to people. I get calls all the time about the interchange at Highway 16. We got close this last session, at least it was in one budget, and we're, our lobbying efforts there. People complain about speeding all the time. We can get some data from the police about our traffic data and accident rate data and how many tickets they're writing out there. And somehow, if we want to have a conversation about growth in our community and the Growth Management Act, possibly.
And the county money.
Okay. Why don't you change that to growth and comprehensive plan?
Confidence, not 3 minutes.
You know what, it'd be good to have your data or your data after, whatever you're gonna talk about, and when you go in your breakout session, you have it. with all the people.
Yeah. So I tried to catch. So what am I missing?
There's one glaring one.
Okay, all right, I'm sorry.
Our permitting problems.
Yes.
I will take that on.
Well, but it's not on the list, I just wanna make sure that.
I will address that in
If
my.
that's not a majority of yours, I would caution you
Yeah, I
to.
don't see the EDT committee on here at all.
Well, there's no committees on here. We want to talk about FIFA. We can put FIFA up there.
Yeah, what we're gonna do in
Okay.
downtown.
There's two I want to throw on, one that I know is gonna be a passionate one for McCormick Woods, and that's the Sydney Road construction update. People coming down Barry Lane Road,
Okay.
trying to get one way or the other.
Pitney non-motorized. So can I back up to where she types that, the FIFA one? How about FIFA and downtown and
Yes.
couple that with downtown beautification?
Yes,
The other one that I would like to throw in there is the Fish Passage construction sites on the updates, because that's gonna be affected.
Like West Bay one?
Yeah, I would rather have Dennis that wouldn't be challenging for any of us to speak to, other than to say that they're happening.
That's important.
Yeah, Jay?
Okay, regardless of how, we're all thinking about what people want to know about, but in some cases, we're not, people would surprise us. If somewhere along the line, we need to talk about our parks. That we have, yeah, you didn't mention it, it was on your list, but it's not, you didn't mention it. And the second thing is, I think we do need to talk about at least our finances in the city of, how we're doing, because compared to our other cities, we've done very well. And also we need to, in that finance, we need to talk about our audits that we've had. That, hey, just a one-liner, we keep doing.
You guys are limiting me to 10 minutes, man. I can't.
No,
I can't help this.
Wait a minute, this is not about. This is about,
we only get 5.
Somebody can take these topics.
Okay, wait,
And that's what I'm saying.
okay. Can I back up to parks? I think that needs to be parks and somehow I want to plant a seed about a parks levy.
Yes.
Parks and parks levy.
Yeah, and that's somebody keep talking. But
Yeah, it's probably not a good one for Walmart because
What-
they have.
okay, but this is where I wanted to make the point, is we're talking about McCormick, but
Jay's got.
McCormick people are residents of the city. And the people that I talk to McCormick aren't just interested in McCormick, they're wondering what's going on in the city too. So if we focus it just toward McCormick, and I'm not saying that, no, God knows, the roundabout and Old Cliff, and Anderson Hill are very important. But we missed the boat if that's our focus.
I really hope that people from the city, the east side go to McCormick, go to the east side.
Yeah. I think we'll see some crossover after we do these.
All right, I want to hear from others. What other topics?
Those
on
are
this?
fine. I did,
Alright, I like the, well, I was down, the downtown beautification and FIFA, that was the one
Okay.
I wanna talk about.
Sorry, I want to be open with what I find problematic about the 10 minutes for the mayor. Mayor, you get an email with the people every week. You get 2 emails. You have direct communication with people. This town hall was supposed to be about how council now can connect with the people and get connected with the people. So in that way, yes, it looks like you're only getting 10 minutes, but that's 10 minutes or 10 minutes less time that council's getting when this was supposed to, from my understanding, this was about council going out there because we don't have direct communication with the public. They don't know what's going on. I mean, from our perspective, a lot of them don't even know, a lot of them don't even know what we do. I'm just saying, when I get emails, I see that they don't even have a sense of what for instance, with the rezone, what we're allowed to do, what we aren't allowed to do with the whole rezone, like with the judicial hearing, quasi judicial hearing. So to me, that was the whole point of this town halls. And so if I'm pushing back right now, if you're gonna tell me that's not the point of town halls, fine, then that's not the point of town halls. And personally, I'm not then I don't really need to be there. I thought we were literally trying to, as council people, connect with the people, have them have more of a sense of what we do, so they stop asking us to do things that's really like under the mayor's purview. That's what I thought the whole point. So if that's not the point of the town hall, then I guess at this point, I'm totally confused about what the point
I
of the
think
town
there's
hall.
more, I think there's more talking points than there are council members, so I think council members will speak more than one time.
Oh, but I'm not talking about this. That's what I'm saying. I'm trying to understand the point of the town hall. Like,
So
yeah,
Mark hit it right in the head.
thank you for sharing your perspective there, but we already agreed on the format and I'm trying to be mindful of our
I didn't know
time here.
that's why I was, okay.
So I think we got more topics than we're gonna be
So
able
we
to.
need parks, we're gonna need, I don't know if anybody if anybody thinks Ruby Creek.
We may not hit all these topics.
But I think we could,
Right,
if we don't have a list now, then we can't.
I understand that. I'm just saying is, once the list is up there and
Then we
I
need
said,
to
I'll take
prioritize
this,
it.
then
Ruby Creek Park and Ride.
some of those may fall by the wayside.
Correct, correct.
Yeah. Yeah, we're good, we're in agreement.
Okay, so let's throw spaghetti, is there something you're passionate about? He's talking about Fish Passage.
No.
Is it Brandy, can you scroll out so we can look, there we go. Now it's too small, but I think we can all squint and what is it that you're individually passionate about so that I can put staff working on talking points for you on that topic. So Jay, what are you passionate
I
about?
would love about parks and parks levy.
Okay, Jay would like to have the parks. Anybody else? Everybody comfortable with Jay speaking to that topic?
Yep.
Councilmember Fenton, you had your hand raised.
Yep, I want FIFA in the downtown beautification.
Okay,
And it would be nice to get that email that you sent to Sarah with the flowers and the flags, and then send it to us so we can see that.
there's no email.
Yeah, I saw it. She showed it to me. It was a hanging basket and the flags downtown. Really quick, so.
I believe that came from the marketing plan that Josh provided. You guys have that information, but I'll
Anyway,
look for
well,
it.
that would be something anyway.
Okay, so Councilmember Fenton wants FIFA and downtown beautification.
Take the top 3.
Roll that together.
I think they all go together, right?
Yeah, no, I'm not just great, I'm saying.
You want the downtown
Yeah,
project?
I mean, may as well.
Okay,
That's a good one.
Shira, is there something you want to talk about in this list? You're not okay? All right.
I have no passion.
No, what's the issue for?
Yeah, but you gotta
Yes.
talk about something.
The name,
Whatever is left over.
we're calling the small city as Sedgwick and Sydney.
It's at the center. The Ruby Creek, I think it's the Ruby Creek Center. We have centers. We have the Bethel,
Right.
yeah,
There's further.
yeah, it's where the Ruby Creek Park and Ride, so
So I
you
can
wanna
talk about,
talk about the Ruby versus the transit?
I just wanna make sure it's on that.
Okay, so why don't we call that the Ruby, instead of, the Ruby Creek Center?
I can discuss sewer rates,
Okay,
Oh, that's good.
utility rates, I can discuss that, and then, I can, in that, I'll discuss like, kind of basically the jail, consumption, now how all the other cities are contributing to that, and I can discuss,
okay.
that, yeah, Jay.
That's important.
I was gonna say, it kind of rolls together the Parks and Levy and the growth and comprehensive plan, because they're both land use.
Yeah, I hesitate to dive into the comprehensive.
Well, no, I would
In
just,
5
I
minutes,
would,
our
I would
time.
just, I would,
David, here's our.
no, yes.
How many people, how
Mention
many,
it, yes,
yeah,
just mention it.
how many households, how
Yeah.
many, like,
Yeah,
it's there.
Yes, they're gonna kind of be together.
He's gonna morph the two together. Okay,
Can I add to Eric's suit, like when we keep utilities down, can you talk about the marina pump station down here? I think that's a big topic, like.
11 million.
okay.
Yeah, sure, just, it mentions it.
Yeah, we completed the Breda and Breda pumps.
14, and it's the biggest single project we've done in the city to date, isn't it?
No,
Yeah.
Tremont was.
Yeah.
Slightly
well,
larger.
it just went.
And then they just won
And
the
they won
award.
an award from Greg.
It depends.
Yeah.
One's moving people, the other's moving.
Mark, did you pick a topic? Okay. We don't get to go home till you pick a topic.
Well, I can do the financial stuff because I've been on.
That's kind of what I was figuring you were covering, so I didn't take it.
Okay.
Because otherwise I was gonna take those.
And audits, once you
Yeah,
pair that and the audits together. Okay, then I'll get with Scott.
so I don't want to be just the boring finance guy.
No, that's.
I could, you can pump people up over that.
I'll just take any of the leftover stuff.
Okay, well, I'm gonna try to amalgamate what left into somewhat of a abbreviates.
So who's doing the intertie? Because that's gonna be important.
Oh, yeah.
I'll cover it in my,
That's an
in my,
action
yeah.
for them.
You can almost do that with the roundabout, because the roundabout, and, we can't do one before you have the other one done.
I think that-
yeah, we just do a sleeve.
So there are gonna be questions about.
Okay, Mark's got the floor here.
There are gonna be questions about traffic
Mm-hmm.
at McCormick Woods. Who's handling traffic? Because whoever's gonna handle traffic should also discuss the city non-motorized road project and the Ruby Creek Center, because that all affects the flow in and out of McCormick Woods.
Is there something below that?
Yeah,
River
there,
Creek Center?
think so.
I know, it's the last one.
Miss Wallace, that is the last one?
But who's handling the roundabouts?
The roundabout.
I am going to attempt to gather all the missing parts and put it into my abbreviated, that's my goal, is to somehow wrap these. I'll cover the left, but if I don't, if any one of us, if we don't dive deep enough, we're just giving them some information. We'll, in the question and answer piece,
We're gonna start slow.
Dive deeper.
we can dive deeper
And
into
the
those
break- the
things.
breakout gets even
Yeah.
deeper from there.
Cause somebody's gonna complain, I can't get through the Lowe's light, you know?
I don't mind doing transportation, because I've been on that.
Yes, sir.
Alright, so, I'm nominating Shara for one,
Okay,
that I just thought of, which is huge, that she would do really well at, because she last one well, she thought. But, I think, how we've improved in communication with the city,
okay,
things like tonight, not tonight, but things like, tonight, things like coffee with council. Check our Facebook pages out, we're getting a new website.
yeah,
That's a good one.
Feel free.
that's great,
Right?
our PR,
Yep, yep,
that's a great topic I missed.
Yep, and feel free to email us, individually if you have a question, or the mayor, or a director, or reach out, whatever you feel comfortable with, I think communication, we've stressed that for multiple years now, and we're doing really well. I think that'd be a good one for her too.
Okay, so when I get back to you guys with the information for these topics, it's gonna be a bullet format.
Yep.
And if you need more, gotta, ask and we'll get you more.
Okay. Sounds
All
good.
right,
Yes.
I only have a week.
We got 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
So we got 2 weeks.
I started getting that information out to us pretty quick.
That's it. 3 weeks.
Yeah, I know. I'm-
Yeah, April 9th, yeah, oh, yeah.
3 weeks and, so we didn't give, Scott's not here. Let's give
Scott,
him-
I know.
Yeah, let's give him the worst one. What is he gonna get beat up?
Well, how about Scott gets to pick one? Let's let, what do you want?
I don't think so. That is not what happens when you don't show up.
That's right.
No,
Oh, yeah,
you
oh,
get an excused absence, so that doesn't.
Yeah, I'll circle back with Scott. I'm on.
Carrying weight.
All right, I think we've done good work here. Thank you very much. This was.
Charlie, thanks for hanging on.
Yeah, thanks, Miss
Yeah,
Archer.
thank
She's
you.
sweet.
Thank you all. Appreciate your
I've
time.
got one thing for
Jay's got to go to the order and then we're gonna go home.
Okay, I'm gonna ask, the mayor, to read this a little bit next week. Depending on what happens over the next week, Kitsap Transit has a, fuel stabilization fund. And just to get a kind of a one line or whatever from Noah about how we're doing budget wise with fuel and what it may look like.
We have no concerns at this point.
Okay, but something.
Budget looks good.
The budget look good.
Something
Fine.
to be tracking is
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
Remember, we got 11
All kind
electric
of
vehicles.
electric.
Say again?
We got 11 electric vehicles.
Yeah,
They don't bring gas.
And
we
our
got a
guys
lot.
aren't going all that far, right? There's only.
Yeah, we're not running routed service. So Shira and Jay and John, could I just borrow the three of you for 30 seconds? We're adjourned. Thank you.
Mhm.
Respect.